We got.
Welcome to Wrasslin, Chetty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the POT. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash straight to the face. I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like the dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrestling's where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to Wrestling's where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Yeah.
Hey, we back for another episode with them wrestling boys. Welcome to Wrestling It Is. I'm the POT alongside my tag team partner Big E, and we're here to bring you another episode of premium wrestling content. What's going on, bro?
What do you say, brother? We back with it. How you feeling?
Feeling great, brother. Feeling great.
Good. Hey, man, episode 77. Welcome to Wrasslin. I got a good one, too, for the 77.
What you got?
You ready for it?
Yeah.
Necessary Roughness. The Twins offensive linemen. They had 66 and 77 of Twins.
They all fighting each other and shit.
Hey, did you ever notice how similar Unnecessary Roughness and the replacements are alike?
Yeah.
Did you ever see that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you got the quarterback that's like, getting a second chance. You had the crazy linebacker. The one was the police officer. The other one was the karate guy.
Yeah.
You had the brothers that were the offensive linemen. Then you had both kickers, even though one was a girl. They both were soccer players.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Both coaches were legendary coaches that came out of retirement.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I just thought that was crazy. Yeah, we already jumping on that dirt road, going sideways.
I got Lyle Alzado.
Oh.
And I got that Denver Broncos linebacker from the 80s, with that Kyle Mecklenburg.
Yeah.
I mean, what linebacker wore another 77? You know what I mean?
Right. But that damn Lyle Alzado now.
Yeah.
When he used to wear that do-rag, he was dangerous.
Yeah.
He was dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you can't forget Michael Allen.
Yeah. Catching strings.
Had the meanest. Hey, that was, bro. One-handed that thing, and then, you know what I'm saying, try to do
bust the move out there, did he?
Hey, they ran that back a couple of times. If watching film, hey, wasn't nothing better when they kept rewinding that when the AG hit when we was watching film, and they were mad and yelling, and he was over there laughing every time they ran it back. He was over there giggling.
Oh man. Up there in the conference room. Upstairs.
Hey, yeah. That was funny because everybody, you know what I'm saying, when they get loud, you all supposed to get quiet. But he was over there laughing. Every time they showed that hit, he was laughing.
Right. That boy didn't give a damn.
No. That might have been one of the gangsters moments up there in that conference room.
For real. For real.
It was better than when what was your boy name that played D-line with us? We was in 11th grade. Lionel.
Yeah.
We was up there for Be Somebody, and
Yeah.
I forget who the guest speaker was, but he Lionel had that laugh.
Yeah.
Lionel had that laugh, and as soon as the dude said something and messed his words all up, Lionel just bust out laughing in front of everybody. Didn't even try to cover it up. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, hey man, welcome to Wrasslin. We're gonna do something a little different today. Jump into a topic after we talk a little business. But first, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna need you to go to prowrestlingtees.com/welcome to Wrasslin, because we got merch for you. Order your shirt. We got 3 designs. Order all 3 of them. Order a couple of them. They're there for your wearing pleasure. And all you fellas out there, guaranteed to pick up an extra lady or two with one of these shirts on. I'm guaranteeing you right now. You know what I'm saying?
I sure did. Buy the shirt.
But yeah, man, go to prowrestlingtees.com/welcome to wrestling, man. Get your shirt, man. Support the cause, man. Hey, before we get into our little topic, and which is going to be a fun one, I think, almost like a reminiscent type thing. Let's talk about we got the NBA Finals right now, and let me ask you this. Just we'll talk about it for a second. New York, they've been going crazy. So, but are you surprised they're up 2-0 with both of those games being in San Antonio?
I'm gonna say this. I don't know if surprise is the word, the adjective I should describe. Did I think that they was gonna be up 2-0? No, I did not see that one coming. But I'm not surprised as far as the way they've been playing. Game 1, I felt like San Antonio let that one go, but you had to give the Knicks credit because of how gritty they are as a team and how they've been playing the whole playoffs. Now, I didn't expect them to win game 2, though, like at all. Definitely didn't expect that. But even then, I felt like San Antonio let that one go as well.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be crazy in New York tomorrow night.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If they win it, whether they win it in New York or not, if they get that NBA title, they gonna tear New York up. It's gonna be crazy, man. It's been a long time coming.
Right.
It's been a long time since they've been in contention, and you finally get over those Jordan years.
Right.
When you had such you talk about what a rivalry that was, especially back then. With they had Mark Jackson and of course they had Patrick Ewing, but they had Oakley,
Anthony Mays and John Starks.
Yeah, John Starks. Yeah.
They had some. I mean, yeah, that was a good era. And like you said, you mentioned Jordan. Yeah, that was the Jordan years. But it wasn't just the Jordan years. I mean, they dealt with Detroit, Boston.
Yeah.
Then the Jordan years. You know what I mean? Like it was. I mean, they ain't win championships since '73.
Right.
So
yeah, this will be crazy.
Yeah. So I being honest, I know that the West is tougher than Eastern Conference as far as going through the playoffs and all that. That's the narrative. And we all know what the Knicks did to the Hawks, but the Hawks looking better each game because they're the only ones that defeated the Knicks so far in the playoffs.
Right.
2 games. And then they blew the Hawks out 3 games in a row. And then they swept Philly. Then they swept Cleveland. And they up 2-0 on San Antonio. They won 13 games in a row.
Right.
Now, before the series started, I picked them to win in 6 games. That was my prediction. Did I think that they was going to be up 2-0? No. But I really believe that if San Antonio don't win game 3 Monday night, then they're going to get swept. Personal opinion. But my prediction is game six. I figure that they'll be up, maybe 2-2 or maybe 3-1 going, and then game five they're going back to San Antonio, and then I figured like 6 games, where the
Yeah,
Knicks are
yeah,
gonna close it out at home. That was my original prediction. But I mean, anything can still happen.
right.
But if San Antonio gonna do something, obviously they have to win game
They
three because
got
no team
they
never
got
came
to
back
do
from
it
3-0. So
right, and it's hard to win 4 games in a row. Especially against the same team. Of course, you talk about New York winning 13 in a row, but that's against different squads. You know what I'm saying? It's hard, especially when everything's on the line. Every time, if they have 3-0 every game you play, you win or go home. And it's hard to win 4 games in a row like that. So
I mean, it's never been done in the NBA playoffs. No team never
right,
came back from 3-0 deficit.
right, right. So yeah, man.
Now, I will say this. I feel like the San Antonio has a great young team. Like I think they're going to be around for the foreseeable future, and it's not just Wemby. They, Dylan Harper, Ron Harper's son, he's pretty good. Ricky, that Castillo dude's pretty good. Fox, who's a factor, but he banged up his ankle. Uh, then Wemby, is my honest opinion, he's phenomenal, especially for his height and what he can do. It looks really like a video game. Him out there playing and doing the things that he can do, shooting back, step back, 3 pointers and stuff. He's 7 foot 5 inches tall.
Right,
But I think the problem with him, my honest opinion, is I think that he forgets that he's 7'5".
right.
Like he's out there shooting too many perimeter shots. I
Yeah,
know you can make them and you can play, you can handle the ball, but you still can can get out of you can score in the paint because they really can't stop you
right.
because of your height. I know Cat been bodying him up, and Mitchell Robinson is a big body as well, but they
Hmm.
still can't like he. Then he makes all his free throws. So it's like I feel like if he was to play aggressive in the paint, they would call fouls and
Right.
and he get his shot off.
Because you'll
But
have,
that's not.
yeah, you because especially it's different when they putting the body on him in the perimeter and trying to get down. But once you get down low and y'all get the banging, and yeah, a lot of time you're gonna draw a lot of fouls.
Yeah, you're gonna get that whistle. And also one thing that the Knicks are doing on offense, with a lot of people, barbershop people not paying attention to, because barbershop talk is barbershop talk.
Yeah,
But a lot of people sometimes people watch the game, and I'm not saying I'm a basketball expert, but sometimes people watch the game and they don't really know exactly what they're watching, or
hmm,
they just pay attention to the stats. They'll see that, oh, Brunson had 30 points, but they didn't watch the game when they saw Brunson with 13 for 32. Yeah, he went off in the fourth quarter when it really mattered. And that's what really mattered in game one. But what brought them back when they was down in game one, I'm talking about the Knicks, was Cat. Cat is giving Wemby an ass whipping. And a
hmm,
lot of that is because Cat can shoot perimeter shots, just like how all the big man, we just talk about how Wemby 7'4", 7'5", shooting 3 pointers. But Cat can get Wemby out the paint. He had to guard that man because he can hit them threes. So what's been happening is he gets Wemby out the paint, and then that allows them to drive to the bucket more because Wemby, who's the best rim protector in the NBA, if he's not in the paint, then they don't have to worry about him constantly playing free safety and blocking shots because he had to guard Cat out on the
right,
perimeter. And
right.
also what Cat been doing, he'll fake the three and he'll go right around Wemby and go up strong and he draws the foul. So Cat really been in his bag. And I really believe if he keep this up, I think he can win finals MVP.
Yeah. Okay.
But we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, game 3 is tomorrow night in New York at the Garden. So we'll see. Hey man, shout out to the University of Texas, man, for winning the back to back the girls softball World Series. Um, I can't lie, bro. I've been watching, and not nothing to the lady listeners that we have, but it's just being 100% transparent. Not it, I don't really watch women's sports like that. You know what I'm saying? But bro, I was bought in. You know what I mean? And watching Texas Tech, of course, Jason Williams' daughter and that whole story or whatever had me intrigued or whatever. But just these ladies, man, they were going at it, man, and so talented that it's hard to understand. They're doing it now, but that they don't have a professional league of
Right.
women's softball. Because bro, they be going at it. I mean, there's some real athletes out there. Real athletes out there. So shout out to University of Texas. Shout out to the University of Texas Tech for the run they made and almost getting there. But Texas just a little too much talent. The game two, because it's the best out of three. But game two was that was like right down to the nitty gritty until one of the to the center fielder went yard last inning, put them up ahead, and then they brought that closer in, who the pitcher for Texas, who's back-to-back MOP, most outstanding player. And but yeah, man, I really dug it, man. I was like, I was bought in. I dug it a lot. So shout out to the ladies. But did you check it? Did you see anything? Did you catch any of it? Or?
Nah, I did. I mean, I knew about the storylines and I know like when, for example, when Oklahoma lost early in the tournament, that was a big deal, and all of that. So I mean, I definitely paid attention. But for anyone to, I don't care what sport it is, what if it's college softball, I don't care if it's men's swimming, you know, archery, whatever, NBA finals, any team that wins back-to-back championships, that is an amazing accomplishment. I don't care what sport it is.
It really is,
So,
because you're never doing it with the same team, because you're always losing
right,
somebody, and that's even before people transfer.
right,
Before the portal became something. You got to think about graduates, and you're doing it with, you might have brought back a couple of players, but you lost a few. You know what I mean?
right,
So it's
right.
saying something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, shout out to them. Congratulations, ladies of Texas Longhorns, for winning back-to-back
Right.
championship. So
Yeah. Shout out to them. Roll Tide. Hey, you got the men's World Series. They're still in regional play. I know. I know Georgia closed out somebody today, so we'll get an update on that when we come back. But yeah, man. Hey, man, let's jump into my topic if you're ready. Unless you got anything else you want to cover, because
now we
yeah,
can go ahead, man.
let's jump into it, man, and let's talk some childhood wrestling memories. And it don't have to be your favorite wrestler. Just when you sit back and think about wrestling in your younger days, when you were a kid, when it was so, let's just say it was real. But you didn't know, you didn't know the outcome. You know what I mean? You didn't make predictions. You just wanted your favorite wrestler to win or this and that. And it was like the innocent side of wrestling back then when you were a kid, and you looked at them like superheroes because they were so built and they could pick somebody up and throw them. And, I think I body slammed every one of my cousins, you know what I mean? Every time I got around them, body slam was my move back then. You know? But I want to give you the floor and let you start it off. But I want when you sit around and reminisce about wrestling back in the 80s, and we'll talk early 90s, because in the later 90s you're in your teenage years, you've already been smartened up, and this is just me and you. You know what I'm saying? We were already smartened up. We understood what was going on, but you also had a different outlook. I know I was all about the heels in those years, but before that, as a child, I just wanted all the good guys to win. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, let's hear something. and we'll ramble on until we get tired.
Well, I'm gonna go to probably one of my earliest memories, and that was when the Horsemen followed Dusty Rhodes
In the
and
Cadillac.
in a Cadillac got out and beat him up because that seemed so real. It wasn't like they were at center stage at the podium,
Mhm.
talking about what they gonna do tomorrow night in Charlotte,
Right.
in the big event, the house show or whatever, and then they go in there and beat up two jobbers and then go back to the podium and talk about the Omni tonight.
Right.
This was like they were showing some footage of, then it just seemed so real. It's almost if we out now riding around and we follow, you know, the Rock and Roll Express and at the Home Depot, and we get out and we beat
Right.
them up over there, by
Right.
the ride lawnmowers. You know what I mean? Uh, it just seems so real how they did that, and I just remember as a kid, being 6 years old or something like that. It was just like, wow, they got Dusty, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
beat up the dream, and it just seems so real. But I just remember that vividly because that was the one of the first times to me where I was like in awe about the way of entertaining us.
And that was the difference between WWE and NWA back then. It was so you had to me it was like you had cartoons, then you had real life. You know what I'm saying? It was like either watching cartoons or watching movies. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So, but yeah, man. But no, that's a good one, man. I remember that as well. And I remember them, putting his wrist up there and getting the bat, and they blacked it out. And just the way Dusty was with the way the way he sold, and he would always, when he was hurt, he would always, and they're trying to come back, always, had making them with his hands and stuff, and just, it was crazy. Like you say, it was so real, and you never seen anything like that before. We haven't, and
Right.
and like you say, you're a kid at the time. One of mine, when I think about, was at Clash of Champions, Corpus Christi, Texas, when you couldn't believe that Sting and Ric Flair were helping each other out in the ring. And then the next thing you know, Sting's a horseman. And you got Sting, Ole, Double A, and Flair. Of course, Sting had the title match coming up, or had the title opportunity. So that was the main thing. And of course, that was what the Horsemen were all about, protecting the world champion and
Right.
protecting that title and making sure no matter what, win, lose, or draw, DQ, whatever, that Flair was leaving with that title that night.
Right.
And never did you see one of the four horsemen going after the title. It was always going after the secondary titles while protecting the world title. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So I remember them, when they were telling, what Ole say, it's three of us and one of you. And it was funny because Ole was, at first, it was almost like Ole was the leader at the beginning because he was the older one. He was the aggressor, but he wasn't the champ.
Right.
And Flair was telling Sting, I bought you some time, and that's when Ole was like, you're too nice, and pushed him out of the way and just told him, you're not a
You're
horseman
not a horseman anymore.
anymore. And then that's when they finally jumped on him and said,
Yeah.
get out of this business, slapping him and everything. And actually, after that match, no, that was late. That was the same night when they had that match that night. He blew his knee out.
Right.
Correct. That was the same night because
Yeah,
he had them jeans on.
because
Yeah,
Lex ended up getting the title shot at I guess it was capital punishment or whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
One of
yeah,
them,
yeah. But
yeah,
yeah, so when they went out to the ring, or I think he did it coming down off the cage, and then Flair tackled him on the ramp. Because you remember NWA when they had them the Clash of the Champions, they had them big ones. They had that ramp that went down the aisle
yeah.
that you
Especially
walked right
that
into the ring.
era, though. Yeah, those few years.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And hell, that whole ramp was a weapon.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
especially you think, and then you want to think about me. You think about Sting and Cactus Jack having
yeah.
and all them bumps. Cactus Jack was taking out on their ramp, jumping off their
Taking
ramp onto the floor.
suplexes
Yeah,
or when Sting and do jump over the ropes and do a splash
yeah,
onto the ramp and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's hear one.
I'm gonna go with now this, what we're talking about tonight. I'm gonna exclude like the WrestleManias and the Starcades and stuff because I'm pretty sure that we really wasn't watching those events
Right, right,
then.
right. No,
And so
you might have
I'm
saw
thinking
them on
more
VHS or the
right,
when they then you
or
got
they
to
show
remember,
highlights.
but you remember back then they didn't really show highlights. They showed pictures because
Yeah,
they
that
still
that
wanted you to
too.
know. They still wanted you could still buy the pay per view even when it was over. They had a
Right.
couple of times that they would replay it. You wouldn't see them highlights till a month later.
But you still knew the outcomes of
Right,
the
right,
matches and stuff. Yeah.
right, right,
Well, my so now we're basically talking about stuff that we seen on TV.
right.
So I'm I have to I remember, and it's a lot of stuff I vaguely remember, but I remember one of the WWF Saturday night's main events. And I remember when Hogan and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff had that cage match, the blue cage.
Yeah,
And I remember the outcome was when they both landed at the same time outside of the cage, and it was like controversial who was the world champion, and Bobby Heenan with his shenanigans, and Paul Orndorff should be the champion, and my guy landed first, and Hogan, but it was so dramatic. I remember that it was so dramatic, and WWF used to piss me off with that blue cage because I liked the other cage better. I didn't
right.
like how in the WWF where you had to escape the cage to win.
Hmm.
I just kind of felt like that's a cowardly thing to do.
Right. It's
You
like
know what I
running
mean? It's like
away.
you in the cage match. Yeah, y'all supposed to fight it till the death.
Right. That's
And
what the cage is for. Yeah, to keep you in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I never really liked that concept when WWF did that. Now they still do that, but you can still pin and submit.
Right.
But back then it was just like who escaped first.
And
But
every time somebody gets on top of the cage now, they stand up and do some crazy bump off of there instead of trying to
yeah,
leave.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And then
So, but
they're
I
gonna fall over. And then they look
right.
down and then they try to do a big bump. Yeah.
So, but that being said, I always think about the blue cage.
Yeah.
Even though like when Hogan and King Kong Bundy WrestleMania 2, it was the
Yeah.
blue cage.
Do you remember when they
But
used to
I
do the promos behind the
yeah,
cage? Yeah, they had a little
right,
cage and you were standing behind it.
right, right.
Yes. Yeah,
So
or you be standing in front of it. A lot of people would stand behind it.
right, like they in the cage. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So but I just that was one, because I used to watch some Saturday night main events and but that was one of the first all moments for me watching that because again, I know we really wasn't Hogan fans, so I was kind of really pulling for Paul Orndorff,
Yeah.
to be truthful.
Right.
And I wanted him to be the champion, not because I was a Paul Orndorff fan. I just, wanted somebody to beat Hogan. You
Right.
know,
I thought it was always cool how he had the one instead of WON on the back of
yeah,
the robe. You know what I mean?
yeah. And he was put together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was. So, but yeah, that was one memory watching Saturday night's main event. It was like that was a cool moment because it was controversy. That was WWF's or WWE's version of a Dusty Rhodes finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I had watched WWF and I have seen it as a kid, but it wasn't as often as I watched NWA. You got an hour on Friday night with Joe Pedicino with WWE or WWF at the time. You had the Saturday night's main event. You know, you had superstars and stuff like that. One of my earliest remembers was remembers. One of my earliest thoughts about back WWE back in the day. I remember being over at my grandparents' house. Now they had cable. They were just two streets over, and
Okay.
it was for my first time meeting my step cousin, my cousin Troy, and we were watching, and it was when Hercules and the Ultimate Warrior were beefing, and Warrior broke the chain. You know, the big chain that Hercules had when he yanked it from it and it broke or whatever. And we were just like, wow, that how strong is he? And I was smart enough to know at the time that him and Sting were the Blade Runners because you know you had already heard about this stuff. And I used to, you know, of course, we used to read the magazines and everything. You know what I mean? So, you know, I knew the Ultimate Warrior wasn't his first, you know, gimmick or whatever. But I was just in
Yeah.
kind of awe of him at the time because he was so built. And he had, you know, he had the neon colors and everything. And I wasn't really a fan because you already knew when he was coming out, more than likely he was gonna win. You know, and I used to think that splash, it was so sloppy that he would do this when he would do the splash, you know, after he would military press him, drop him, and hit the ropes. You know, it was like you're just jumping on top of him. Like, how is that hurting him? You know what I mean? And but I was the way he was so built up and just like the you know, his gear was fire though. And the way then he started painting his chest and just he was all out with it. You know what I mean? The bad thing is the more you learned about him, the more you didn't like him. You know what I'm saying? But um I do remember, you know, the people going crazy when he won the Intercontinental title from the Honky Tonk Man, you know, and then of course, like I said, I didn't watch WrestleMania when he faced Hogan. I saw it, but I didn't watch it live or anything. I might have got it when it was out on videotape at Blockbuster. You know what I'm saying? I know you used to catch hell when y'all used to go to the video store. You know what I'm saying? I know you used to catch hell when you used to get the wrestling video because I know you got them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I talked about all that before. You know,
Yeah.
it was rough. You know, because even what if I'm watching 605 Saturday night or watching Superstars on USA Network, it it was hard for me to watch wrestling,
Yeah.
and I had to get it in when I can get it in.
Yeah.
So, you know, what if it's WWF or what if it was NWA? It was like I had to get it in when I could get it in,
Right.
regardless. And it was hard. And a lot of times, if I am watching it, and boom, Vaishon come home, it didn't matter mid match if
Right.
Ric Flair was on TV with the Horsemen or Junkyard Dog. You know, it didn't matter.
Mm.
That channel was going to get changed immediately. Immediately. So that's just what I was dealing with. So a lot of times when you mentioned Joe Pedicino and Bonnie Blackstone,
Mm.
a lot of times that was when I had to get my fix in because I was up at late at night. So
Right.
even though sometimes I get lucky to watch at 6:05 on a Saturday night, or I get to watch, you know, All American Wrestling or whatever, watching Hacksaw Jim Duggan fight against Iron Mike Sharp.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times I get to partially get to watch that stuff. So I had to catch a lot of that stuff with Joe Pedicino, Bonnie Blackstone, watch the little 3 or 4 hour wrestling marathon we used to go through that, when we used to have that available to us, you know what I mean? Then
Right. Channel
Elvira
8.
come on
Yeah,
afterward or
channel
something. Yeah.
channel 69. It'd be on from
Yeah. They,
8 to 1 o'clock in the
yeah.
morning. Yeah.
Then Elvira or somebody come
Yeah.
on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the best thing smoking though, Joe Pedicino, Bonnie Blackstone, because like I say, you're gonna get you might get an hour of NWA Worldwide. They're gonna show some stuff that happened on at 6:05. Then you might get some Mid Atlantic. You're gonna
Right.
get an hour of WWF. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. And then they would have guests on there in the studio.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Shout out Joe Pedicino, Bonnie Blackstone. Then come to find out that I never knew that was his wife.
Yeah, but Joe outkicked his coverage on that one.
Yeah. It happens. All right, I'm gonna do another one just real quick, and this is I think about the day the Big Goal was debuted when Flair came out there, because nobody was better with the belts. The NWA, they would switch them up. They had the best belts to me, especially in the '80s. The
Yeah.
the silver TV title, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, the silver and red.
Yeah, it's in my top 5, silver and red.
Yeah. Yeah.
The U.S. title, but you had those belts. At first NWA, they had all of the frames were the same.
Yeah.
The U.S. they had the national title. The U.S. title was silver. Then you had the 10 pounds of gold, but they all favored each other.
Yeah, they always shaped the same. Yeah, with the main plate.
Right.
Yeah.
And the world title just, and the same thing with WWF. Even with the Winged Eagle, it was smaller than the U.S. title and the Intercontinental title. And I was always thinking like the world title should be the biggest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it definitely was like that with the Winged Eagle, but all them Hulk Hogan belts really wasn't like that though.
Yeah. Because that
but the
first
Winged Eagle was though, yeah.
Yeah. But the one he had the one shaped like the almost like the TV title, and it was silver. You had the green one. You know what I'm saying? Then you had the one that almost looked like the WCW TV title, or no, it looked like the ECW TV title.
Right.
I think ECW was doing that like as a dig. You know what I'm saying? Using their like they had their Intercontinental titles as the tag team title. Those were hard though. The ECW tag team titles, they looked like the Intercontinental titles.
Right.
Those were hard. But anyway, yeah, man, debuting of the Big Gold, which is my favorite belt of all time, was just, it was so big and gold, and it had the rubies and the diamonds. And who better to have it than Flair? Because that's all he talked about: gold and diamonds, and you know the spiel for Nash. But I just thought that was so cool, man. And they did away with the 10 pounds of gold, and then you learn later on, like they had to put a $40,000 deposit down. When you had that belt, just in case something happened to it. So I thought it was, I just remember that the whole promo and everything, and just when he picked that belt up, how it was like double in size of the 10 pounds of gold. And it was like, that's what a world title is supposed to look like.
I agree. I agree. I definitely remember him carrying that belt, and I agree with you. To me, till this day, is the best title that I've seen a company carry as one of their titles on television, bar none. I mean, it has a lot of inspiration. WWE then copied that belt, different versions of that belt, so many different times. Even now, their current world title is a spinoff from the original Big Gold.
Mm,
So you're absolutely right. But another moment that I'm going to talk about, I'm gonna have to go back to Saturday night's main event, and this is when Hogan and Andre had their rematch from the WrestleMania 3
yeah.
historic match, and this is when Andre won the title. When they had, when you find out that Dave Hinder had a twin
Yeah.
brother
Yeah.
by, and Hogan said how much they paid for the plastic surgery, and
Yeah. The
you
fix
know
was
what I
in.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Hogan's shoulder clearly was up. You know what I mean? And Andre won the title. Then he gave the belt, the $1 million man, to Eddie DiBiase. You know what I mean?
And,
And, you know,
and that was the first time I ever seen something like that, where somebody won the title and gave it to somebody else, and somebody
right,
was the champion without even winning anything.
right, right. So, of course, in the record books, that's not. They never counted that. Now the world title win counted for Andre,
Mm,
but they, I guess, look at the record books, they vacated the title was because Andre gifted the title to Ted DiBiase, so they was like that wasn't a valid win for him. That's why
right.
the title got vacated. And of course, we know, especially now, Hogan was getting time off to go film No Holds Barred, and of course
Right.
Macho Man ended up winning
What's
the
that smell?
tournament. Yeah, what's that smell? Yeah.
Yeah.
But Macho Man ended up, winning the world title at WrestleMania 4 in the
Right.
tournament, of course, and kind of created, planted seeds for the mega powers, and
Right.
we all know how that
Also,
played out.
WrestleMania 5. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was a huge matter of fact, and that moment was till this day the most watched wrestling event on TV history. It was like 33 million people watched that night
Wow.
when
Well,
they
look how
had
many
the
look how many people
Andre winning
involved.
the belt.
Yeah. For WrestleMania 3.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That and if you knew what you knew then, like those are the last times you really get to see Andre active. You got a few tag matches here and there and stuff like that, but you know, that was you getting real, real close to the end, you know,
right.
and people just really don't understand nowadays how big of an attraction Andre the Giant was, you know. So I'm gonna take you back to, I guess you're gonna keep talking about WWF. I'm gonna keep talking about NWA. And we think about stuff that just catches our mind when because right now I'm just thinking about there's so much stuff running through my head right now. I don't know about you, but um Nikita Koloff had been retired for about 2 years. And if you know the backstory, his wife got sick and he pretty much took that time out to take care of her. She ended up passing away, and he came back. And um when he left, he was a face. He had a flat top. He had his hair growed out. Um, he was with Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, doing whatever the superpowers or stuff like that. So he comes back. They have a brand new U.S. title that they were giving to Lex Luger, and
Mm,
he was there with them, and he hadn't seen Nikita Koloff in 2 years. Clash of Champions. Lex Luger comes up there. They had the briefcase. They open it, pull the title out. Everybody oohing and eyeing. And then Nikita says, I want to get this to you, and then hits him in the head with the title. Takes the do-rag off. He's got the shaved head, you know.
mm,
And I've always just thought it was, I was actually excited. I think that was a part of WCW at the time. I think they had already moved on to WCW, if I'm not mistaken. And I think I'm a little bit older, so I'm kind of digging the heels and stuff. I know I wasn't no 14 or 15 at the time or nothing like that. Maybe it was probably in 91 or 92. I'd have to look, but whatever. But I can't believe you don't know the date and the time and of the promo. But anyway, but it was a Clash of the
I
Champions.
think it was 91 though.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Because it
But I don't
was
know the date and time. That's funny.
but yeah, man, it was just like it was a return to Nikita, but he was a heel. Because a lot of time when guys return, especially nowadays, they got to come back as a face because the crowd goes crazy when they come back. But back then they would bring you back as heels.
Right.
And so, and usually a guy that left it as a heel usually comes back as a face and then kind of works his way back. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they brought Nikita back as a heel, and it was actually, Luger's the one that beat him for the U.S. title when he lost it.
Right.
So, they came full circle with his return and stuff. I just, like I say, it's so many things running through my mind. You know what I'm saying? That just wanted to have one of them that just popped up.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, now I know this one's gonna be one of your favorites, and I'm gonna have to go with that Clash of the Champions, Sting versus Ric Flair, when they went 45 minutes time limit draw, which were really made. That was Sting coming out party. But what I really remember vividly wasn't just the match, but I remember they had the judges like Jason Hervey and it was like they had the judges there and they really tried to make this like a big event, and matter of fact, wasn't Clash of Champions going against WrestleMania 4, if I'm not mistaken?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was,
real quick, and I'll let you keep going. But for those of you that don't know, Clash of the Champions was free. Clash of Champions was on TBS. It was just that special event that you got. Most of the time, you got it during the week. You know what I mean? You might watch it, and then Young Guns might come on afterwards. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, man. But yeah, I definitely remember that, and that's definitely
that was the very first Clash of the Champions as well.
Right.
So
right. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I remember Sting had the black tights with the gold scorpion on them with the red boots.
Yeah.
And he lost by 1 vote. Because I remember they gave Flair the first 2 votes, and then Sting got a vote, and he was jumping up and and going crazy when he got the vote. Bro, I was a stinger. I was one of the little stingers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit. I was, I didn't have the face paint and shit, but like I said, I had to sneak and be a fan. But I love Sting too.
Yeah. Gosh, man, it's so much. I remember when Sting won the title, and we're not going to talk about the pay-per-view, but we're coming out there with the when he had won it on TV, and it was so cool because the big gold is so big, and it had Flair's name on it, and it was engraved on there at first. It wasn't on. It was the nameplate. I don't even think it was a nameplate at first. I know it was, but it wasn't the one with the screws on it. Like you couldn't see the screws. Like I guess you would have to just get it off. Like that belt was his belt.
Right.
But it was so cool because Sting would come out, and although when he wore those jackets and he had the title on, you could see half of the title. And just being so excited that when he finally took the jacket off, you got to see the whole thing, and you knew he was finally the champ. Because he went through them. Because you got to think, that was his coming out party at Clash of the Champions, but injuries and stuff. He didn't win the belt till 2 years later. That was in '88. He didn't win the belt till '90.
Right.
And that brings me to my first live event, 1990, and it was in August. And that was the first time I ever went to the Cobb County Civic Center, one of those super shows when they did all the tapings in one. You there for about 6 hours.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Sting came out there like you got to see him a couple of times, but he only wrestled once. You know
Right.
what I mean? And it was so cool because you know you're on the third row, but every time the music hits, you get to run up to the rail. You know what I'm saying? So I
Okay.
remember seeing the Freebirds, Rock and Roll Express, Doom. You know, that was when Sting was with Paul Orndorff and Ellie Gante and Junkyard Dog and
The dudes with attitude.
yeah. So and they of course the feuding with the Horsemen or whatever.
That's a lame ass crew right there, bro.
It really is. It really
When you
is.
look at it, you know, no disrespect to Junkyard Dog or Paul Orndorff, you know, but just them together just weird, with especially LA Conte and you know, I guess you count RoboCop too, you know what I mean? 'Cause he was down.
That you know that them guys. That's just like they're doing that the same thing now. Sometimes it's just too much with the celebrity stuff. But I get it.
Yeah.
You got to go find. You know, you're looking for more viewers and different avenues of bringing in more viewers and more
Yeah, you
income.
gotta try you
Right,
gotta try something different. So I get it, yeah.
right. But RoboCop, dog, that was ridiculous. And you didn't even think that was cool when you were a kid because he was just moved so slow. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I'm like, why'd they bring that cop that got killed that they turned into a robot? What the hell is he doing here?
Murphy. Yeah,
He's
Murphy.
gonna kill, you know, he didn't kill nobody. He didn't pull his gun out. He could have shot everybody in there. You know what I'm saying?
The
You no
horse has been
longer
in
have to
trouble
worry
for
about
real, you know what
right.
I mean?
You no longer have to worry about the horsemen ever. You know, because they're all dead. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because fucking RoboCop came and killed them all.
See Double A sell that, you know what I mean?
He sold a stab wound. I guess he could have sold a gunshot.
You need to edit that out.
We'll see. Yeah, I know Double A is watching. He's a big fan. Big fan.
That
But
we are. That we are.
no, I'm talking about him. He's a big fan of us. He's
Oh,
watching.
he's a big fan.
Yeah, he's a
Hey,
big
that's
fan of
Larry and
us.
Evan.
Yeah,
Larry
shout out.
better be a big fan.
Right, shout out Double A. Yeah,
Ask Greg Price about us.
no, no, they'll probably
He
make us
might
look
owe Double A money.
right.
Oh man.
if if you ever want to see a wrestler on a walker chasing a promoter for his money, go to one of these wrestling conventions. You might get
Oh man.
hey
Just
man.
stop right there. Just stop right.
Oh man, no. Let's talk about it, man. We already said the names. We ain't gotta say them again. You do your homework, but you know, and I know he doesn't do the fan fest no more. I know he does something else. This in North
Right.
Carolina, not as big, but yeah, man, that was what a weekend that was. And,
Yeah.
you know, just to be out there Sunday morning, it's the last day. You got matches that day. You still got autograph signing. I done had an amazing couple of days. And then I just see a retired wrestler in a walker chasing the promoter, yelling about him not being paid yet. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is the greatest, this is the greatest shit ever.
Especially who it was, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
It's
guess old
almost
boy
like
wasn't a horseman anymore.
right. And me, you know, I'm not a fan of that guy. So I'm like, shit, that's what you get. That's what you get for kicking Sting out of the horse, man.
Yeah, or turn it back on the orphan, not
Right.
handling his business, chasing
Hey,
around his snot nosed kids.
right. You've been taking care of business instead of hanging around that snot no kid of yours. Got real personal then. They really trying to make only a face. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man. Whew. Oh
But
man, that's a good one.
he kept coming back, so I'm pretty sure he got paid. You know what I'm saying? We will say that. But this shit was funny. I don't care. You know, it is what it is. It happened. It ain't like we lying about it. You know what I'm saying? I saw it with my own two red eyes. You know what I'm saying? It's common knowledge. I wasn't the only one there. Motherfuckers sold about 800 and some tickets. I wasn't the only one that saw it, but you know, we might be the only one talking about it on podcast.
He wasn't the only one looking for him that weekend. That one had a bounty on his ass.
You're a marked man.
Woo. All right. Let's keep it moving, man. All right. Now this one I'm about to
I want to
talk
keep
about.
talking about it. I just kidding. Go ahead.
All right, this one. Now this one that
You gonna give my
all
goddamn
right.
money?
Oh man. All
With
right.
the
Now
walker.
this one right here.
With the
This
walker.
one right here was with the walker. So all right. I would like to see what would happen if he would have got a hold of him, you know what I mean?
I might have speared only.
Oh man. Woo. Woo. All
That
right.
all you got, kid?
Woo. All right. This next one though is one that to me was one of the most shocking things I ever seen on WWE/WWF television. And
What year do you think it is?
now this really did, you know how I mentioned how we wasn't talking about the WrestleManias and Starcade events that we did not see, you know, and until we saw it on VHS or something like that. Now this one also was at one of those events, but they showed it over and over and over again on TV. And this was when Jake the Snake had the Cobra
Yeah.
and he bit Macho Man when Macho Man was tied up in them ropes. That right there was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like unbelievable. Like shocking. Even when you see the footage now, it's still shocking. Like that was a real cobra. I know it's supposed to be it wasn't defanged because it had fangs, but the
Right.
poison something about the poison glands or whatever, like the
Yeah.
snake wasn't really, you know, and then when you hear Jake the Snake talk about the backstory behind that, how
How he
Macho
had.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah, he
You
made
got to
Jake
do it
the
too.
he,
You wanted him. He wanted to cover the
yeah,
make sure he wasn't gonna kill him.
yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
that conversation. I don't know.
Right. Then he was like, "Don't you go nowhere."
You're gonna take it too. Yeah. Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying?
Like, don't get nowhere and don't scream
Right.
like that, you
If I'm gonna die, you're gonna die. You know what I'm
know.
saying?
But
We'll
then we
just
hear
be
Jake tell
dying
this.
together. Yeah.
But then we hear Jake tell the story. He said he like paintbrushed the snake, you know, like smacked the snake. So it was like it pissed the snake off. So
Yeah.
when it bit Macho Man, they didn't really want to let it go. And I just remember they trying to pull the snake off this man. It was like that was like crazy, man.
bro.
That was like,
You,
unbelievable television, man. It was like unbelievable. People was in the stands. They show a woman crying, like all kinds of stuff. Kids crying and couldn't believe it. Yeah, so I'll never forget that. Never forget that.
hey, man, let me tell you something. Little personal information about Big E here. I'm scared of snakes. I don't like them. I don't mess with them. The only thing they're good for is eating rats because I'm scared of rats even more. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie to you. But could you imagine just going to work and they're saying, "Hey, we got this great idea. We're gonna you're gonna get bit by a cobra, but it's gonna be great television." Can you imagine? Oh, okay. I can just imagine. Are you out of your mind? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? like not even when, because he's already been told about it when he's telling Jake, you're gonna have to do it too to make sure. Like, could you imagine the first time hearing that? Like,
Man.
hell no. You want me to do
And
what?
how and Vince try to convince you like it's a great idea. I
Yeah,
got a great one.
they're gonna love it. What a maneuver. You know?
Yeah, that was
But
unbelievable.
it was crazy because at first they started Xing it out after the first couple of weeks
Yeah,
but you can see
yeah,
blood and everything, and then the foaming at the mouth and all the stuff that he did when they carried him off, like that was magic. Like I was sold. I can't believe Jake the Snake's evil. I can't believe he got
right,
in jail. You know what I'm saying? He's
right,
crazy.
right.
Man, how good was Jake the Snake back then though, with the
Man,
promos and
he
everything?
was. I mean, he's one of my favorite wrestlers ever. And we talked about being a kid loving the faces, and then getting older loving the heels. But as a kid, I loved Jake the Snake. I don't know, it was always something about that guy. The way he cut it promo, because he was able to get the point across, and he was very cerebral, and like he didn't have to talk loud, but he was
Right.
very devious and evil. You know what I mean? Like,
Because a lot of those promos back
and
then was just a lot of yelling and screaming and brother this and brother,
yeah,
you know.
and
And
he wasn't like you. His
there's nothing like a
eyes
Miro
and
promo, but yeah, Jake the
yeah,
Snake took it to a whole nother level with
man, and
that soft talk and that little that evil smirk that he would make. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I hit
Yeah,
you
man.
with that DDT and put your lights out, man.
Yeah.
You're
It's,
gonna, you
you're right.
know,
It's over for you. You know what I mean?
right?
But
Yeah.
that was his heyday. You know what I'm saying? Not to talk bad about, we're gonna sit here and crap on him for a couple hours for all the stuff we've seen, but he was so good, man. Even when he came to WCW for that little short stint, you know what I'm saying? The way he debuted going after Sting and coming out there and had all that leather on and with the snakeskin boots. Dude he was so good, man. And then of course you've heard all the stories about the mind that he had. You know what I mean? So hey, real quick, now that I think about it, and we were talking about, beyond the mat and everything a couple of weeks ago from old dude passing away. And when we talked about Nikita giving Luger the new title, it was Grizzly Smith who was holding the title at first, on TV,
Mm,
Jake's dad. So yeah, I thought I'd just throw
yeah.
that in there. You know what I'm saying? I thought I'd be the POT for a second, geese. Give something major real quick.
Hmm.
But yeah, let me ask you this. I want you to think back and give me a storyline or something that you saw on TV that had you scared. Like legit scared.
Mm, mm.
And it could probably
Like
be the
just
one that
legit.
that you just said. You know what I'm saying about the
Yeah. I'm trying to think of another one since you asked the question. I have to really think about that because I mean, I remember seeing the Undertaker,
mm,
like the early days of the Undertaker was like he would just. I mean, he was scary, but you talking like a storyline though.
well, no, it could be
Um,
like an interview or because well, let me tell you like this. So I remember being it was when the Black Scorpion first came. Okay, Black Scorpion storyline, and they pulled um oh my god, I can't even believe Gordon Soley. I almost couldn't think of his name. They pulled Gordon Soley, they blindfolded him and had him in that dark room. And I remember watching it on Friday, so it was real late. All the lights are off, real late, and then that voice, Sting. You know what I'm saying? But they had
right.
that scary music in the background. It was almost like a horror movie. They did everything but kill him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, like
Yeah.
legit, like, you know, bro, I believe I jumped up and turned the light on, man. You know what I'm saying? And like he's the move for you, boy. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so creepy. And the way they play and every time he did an interview or did talk and anything, they had that background music. And it was the same music they played when he would walk out there, except for they added the little
Yeah.
thunder stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, legit like was like it's kind of scary. You know what I mean? Because it was real dark. And all you could see was you could barely see Gordon Soley, but they had a blindfold on. Like they were holding him
Right.
hostage. You know what I'm saying? But they did it so
Right.
you
Right.
couldn't recognize who it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, man, like that legit had me scared.
Yeah. Again, it would probably for me, it would probably have to be when the Snake bit Macho Man, and
Oh,
I
that's
mean just that
scary.
whole thing. I mean, like I said, the Undertaker. The
Yeah,
Undertaker was always scary to me,
yeah.
especially when he got Paul Bearer.
And
I know 'cause he started
the
out with
fight.
Brother Love,
Yeah.
but when he got Paul Bearer, he making them faces looking all crazy, like almost like
Yeah.
a a big. He looked like a fat Gomez Adams or something. You know what I mean? You know, um, yeah, yeah, but I mean, I feel you about the Black Scorpion thing because they definitely with the production of it, with
Yeah.
the music and like a horror movie and the voice,
And
But uh,
all that,
no
and
hindsight 2020, and we look at how that played out, and it's like
how you did all that.
we hear about how the Alvarez thing, and then when it was Nate's, even though he wore a bodysuit, but it was like you seen that chin, it was like
You
that's
couldn't deny
clearly
it.
Ric
Yeah, you knew
Flair.
who that was. He
Yeah,
had two masks on. Still knew who it was
yeah.
with that silver cape. Then you hear all the stories about when he was doing the Black Scorpion after the match in the hotel. he all he had on was the cape and the mask. Shout out to Nate for being legendary.
Hmm. For me, as a kid watching, and this one was very big because it got Big Dust, the Dream, fired from his job, and that was
Yo,
when the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, stuck the spike
in
in
his eye.
Dusty Road. Yeah, yeah, in his
Yeah,
eye.
yeah, yeah.
And and that was huge because we see these guys come out there with these shoulder pads with the spikes, and
Right,
yeah, they unscrewed the spike and actually used it. You know what I mean?
right.
And I just remember the Dream being so dramatic. You know what I mean? And it was like that was such a huge moment. I mean, and you got to think he got Dream fired.
Yeah, well, he was told not to do it. and they did it anyway. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and I guess they had to keep their word or whatever. But yeah, like that was major. That was major. NWA, man, they really did some crazy stuff back then. You know, I think I remember that real clear, but I don't think till you had a few controversial things, but it would be in WWE. But like you said, it'd be twin referees, or what I'm saying. Nobody was getting stabbed, not on TV. But then you did the snake bite. Then you did when the Rockers, split up. Like I couldn't believe when he threw him through that, and we were still younger then. I couldn't believe he threw it through that glass.
That was probably my most favorite heel turn ever. I mean, the Barry Windham one was great when he turned with the Horseman.
Oh, bro,
but
that's
HBK
right
was to me was like, because we was huge HBK guys. We talk about all the time.
Yeah,
but that was like, and then he popped his collar. Like with the leather jacket on.
With the Rockers. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then when he did that, just so cool. All you hear is, "See, he doesn't need Jannetty." Bobby Heenan, boy, I knew he was going to do that. He doesn't need Jannetty.
What a legend!
Right, because right when they hugged, Bobby the Brain was like, "I told you, they're better together." You know what I'm saying? As soon as he
right.
Do that. He doesn't need Jannetty. Now the Barry Windham heel turn is classic because the story was, into the match. I told you, because you had JJ Dillon out there talking to Barry Windham from like the last 15 minutes of the match.
Right.
Lex Luger in there getting his ass whooped for about 10 minutes of that match.
From pillar to post.
Makes the tag. And Wyndham's in there for 2 minutes and goes to tag him back. And he ain't there. I told you he wouldn't be there. Because Luger was a horseman and they knew about him.
Right.
We know him better than anybody. I told you he wasn't going to be there. And then you had the Midnight Rider going into the locker room and they unmasked him. He had Sting, everybody covering him up. And that was creepy too when they sit there and held that mask out. And getting back and forth out of the limo.
When they were pulling off.
NWA was the shit back then. I'm gonna tell you something. I know we're gonna wrap it up in a second. I'm gonna tell you something cool I just thought about. And you come home from school, football's over with, so you're getting home early, and you get to watch World Class on ESPN. And the coolest thing I thought about World Class was when they got to the ring, all them kids got to run up to the ring and get autographs right before the match started.
Right.
I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Because I had only been to one wrestling match when I saw that. So I'm sitting there thinking, man, how cool is it? We could have ran up to the ring.
Right.
I just thought that was the coolest thing I ever seen. Throw one more out there, man. I'll throw one more and then we'll wrap it up.
Man, again, it's so many. And it's kind of hard to narrow them down. And I try to think of, like, for me, probably most shocking to me. And I'd say tell one that was very shocking to me was when Nate showed up in WWF with the big gold.
Oh, yeah.
Being the real world's champion. And like, that was unbelievable to me. Like, it was like a dream. Like, oh, well, are we going to get to see Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan?
Right.
Which we got that, but we
You
didn't
got
get
it, but
it
you didn't
how
get
we
it.
thought we was gonna get it as
Right.
far as the WWF, and I still can't believe they never capitalized on that being their WrestleMania match that year.
Yeah.
Um, still, and you know, and you and H talk about it, and it didn't really doesn't really bother him. He just like, well, just Vince didn't see it, so whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but and then my understanding is they did the house shows early on, and I guess Vince didn't like. I don't know if it was their chemistry, or I can't remember. They said it was the chemistry that Vince didn't like, or maybe it didn't sell out those shows that like he thought it would or whatever. But it's still just amazing to me. And I know wrestling was different back then because it's not like it was the internet and social media and all this stuff. But Crockett at the time still was on TBS, which was nationwide.
Hmm.
WWF at the time was on cable television, which was nationwide. So it wasn't like people didn't know who the hell Ric Flair was and just knew who Hulk
Right.
Hogan was. Which that was kind of like the narrative that they kind of when they talk about it, like, well, Hulk Hogan was a mega star, far with the media and all this, and Ric Flair, yeah, he was the man, the wrestler's wrestler, but people
Yeah.
didn't know who he was when he was WWF. It's like bullshit. you
Right.
know what I
Because
mean? I mean,
yeah.
he still was Ric Flair,
Right.
and plus
Right.
they put the title on him for a reason when he won the Royal Rumble. So it wasn't
Right.
like, Vince was just like, well,
With a
I
tear
got
in
this
my
guy.
eye.
Right. So he clearly put the title on him because he's Ric Flair. So
Right.
I still don't get, I just felt like they kind of dropped the ball on that, promoting that as being for the time the biggest WrestleMania main event ever.
Right.
You
Could
know,
you, could you imagine when he was there and then the if he would have been there at the same time or something would have happened and the Brain Busters would have been there,
oh,
all
that would have
three,
been cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
and they would have been in the Heenan family. Yeah, that would have been real cool.
that would
You
have
know
been
what I
real
mean?
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey man, when I think about it as a youngin, um, and I'm gonna say one more after this because you said most shocking, and I'm gonna tell you my most shocking. But I had to throw this one out there, and this is the Great Muta, and
yeah, I love that
just
guy.
yeah, man, and such a huge fan. But as a kid, just seeing the mist and you
The
know,
face paint and
yeah, and just the way he hit those ropes so hard and doing those elbows and then doing the cartwheel and doing the
and
backwards
and, and then backwards, yeah, elbow in the
thing,
corner and
the moonsault, and what was cool to me was he wore a mask, then he had face paint. You know what I'm saying? And let's say like Demolition. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was the coolest thing about Demolition was having the mask on, then the face paint. You know what I'm saying? But it was just cool how he had the different colors and
then they even had different color mists and
right, right. And one was more lethal than the other.
yeah, he
The,
had the
the
green,
yellow.
which was the most basic. Then the red. If he did the red, oh, it was your ass.
Right.
But if he pulled out the yellow,
Well, if he hit the yellow, you had to go to the emergency room.
man,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, we ain't see the. We could count on our hand how many times we saw the yellow. It
Hmm.
wasn't often.
Right. And it ain't like we had been growing up and sitting there at six and 7, 8 years old, like, oh, he's just like the great Kabuki. You know what I mean?
Right,
We had no idea.
right,
So
right.
this is the first time seeing this, and just he was so athletic. And then the matches with Sting, bro, they used to go at it. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up being TV champion, and
And they were so ahead of their time, like both of them together. As far as being high flyers, especially Muda, but it was like, but they were both doing stuff that we didn't see back then. Like I said, we were seeing guys like Dick Murdoch
right,
and or even if you get a built guy like a Ron Simmons or something that was, gritty and tough, Like guys weren't doing it. That's why I mentioned when we talked about Two Cold Scorpio and stuff, how he was really ahead of his time. Don't get the props he deserved
Right,
because
right.
his aerial game was just like no other. And I know we talk about Great Muda, but I have to show Scorpio some love on that because I just really felt like that man don't get the the, the respect he deserves, especially for today's style of wrestling. Scorpio was, you talk about Bobby Eaton. I love Bobby Eaton, but they was like, I hear coordinate how he was a high flyer.
In
The Alabama Jam was
84,
back.
in 84 and 85, he was.
Yeah, no doubt. And then Alabama Jam was still
Right.
amazing to me.
And he would come off and do that knee off the top rope.
Yeah,
That's how
yeah,
good he was.
yeah. Then they did that you said the stupid rocket launcher. So they did a lot of aerial assaults, but
Right.
still, even my point with Scorpio was like he was doing some shit.
Yeah.
And he don't get the credit he deserved. But I know we talk about Muda. That's what made Muda so great too, because like I said, the way he did it, his explosiveness and the way he snapped, like you said, when he came
Right.
off the rope and that gymnastic flip thing that he did
Yeah.
do in the corner, do the elbow, it was phenomenal. And
Right.
and also with the moonsault, now these guys doing all this ricochets and all sprays and Javon Evans getting bouncy and Penta and Ray Phoenix running the ropes and doing running the ropes. Like,
Right.
yeah,
The top of
Undertaker
it. Yeah.
stepped through the ropes, but Ray Phoenix running the ropes and literally run the ropes, the top of the rope to do
Yeah.
aerial moves and stuff. It's like these guys there is amazing. But
Yeah.
you know, you know,
I, I want to shout out. I want to talk about Scorpio real quick. When you talk about, he didn't have a real finisher until he went to WWE because he could do so much different stuff. He might do the 450, but he'll do the 450 and turn it into a leg drop.
mm-hmm.
He might do the one where he jumped this way and twist in the air and land on you the opposite way.
Right.
And we ain't gonna sit here and talk about the high flyers because we could do that all night long. But you talked about Sting and Muda when they would jump over the top rope and land on top of you out there. Everybody wasn't doing that.
At all.
One of my favorite matches, man, is Muda and Sting versus the Steiner brothers in Japan.
Yeah.
It's so good. And when you think about your childhood, man, if you don't think about a Rick Steiner power slam, the way he would catch them, man, in power slam, I thought that one of the best moves there was back then. There was just something. You talk about Rick Steiner had some finesse. He really did. And he was really good. Yeah, he was a tag team wrestler to a certain degree, but to me, I know they Hall of Famers there. I don't think he get the credit he deserved how good he was. But
Yeah.
I want to throw this in there. We were talking about, innovative and ahead of their time. Macho Man was crazy like that too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Macho Man is every time he takes powder over the top rope. Every night he come out top rope on the floor at that. Even though he's doing a double axe handle, he's not getting air, just stepping off. But he was doing that to the floor.
You're right.
And then he did that elbow. But even if he wasn't jumping on the person, if he's going out of the ring, he's going over the top.
That's true.
And the way he would jump through the ropes, through the middle of the ropes real quick to get in the ring, Macho was super athletic.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're right. And he deserved his own episode.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get to that one day, but you're absolutely right. And like you said, we talked before, somebody ahead of their time, and yeah, definitely can't forget Macho Man. And like you said, he do the flying elbow drop, then the double axe handle. He came off with the ring bell on Steamboat's throat, and off the top rope.
Right.
So yeah, you're absolutely right.
All right, I'm gonna end it right here with the most shocking that I ever saw, and this was at that live event that I went to. We've talked about it before, but when I think about my childhood, this is the first thing that comes to mind. You know, walking around, I got my Steen T-shirt on with the big gold belt on it. He's the champ right now. I'm walking around the Civic Center. My pops is over there sitting where we're sitting at, and I however I finagled myself back to where I could see the guys coming in and out of the locker rooms, and I see Double A leaned up against the hallway with a Florida Gator shirt on and trunk and boots, and he's laughing. And then I look who he's talking to. They're both laughing and cutting up before they walked in the locker room. It was Ricky Morton. And it and they didn't know it, you know what I'm saying? But they smartened me up. And I was devastated. Absolutely devastated, because I knew they don't like each other. I've seen them fight so many times.
Right.
I've seen them beat Ricky Morton up, you know. Ricky Morton tried to go out there. I done seen the Horsemen beat Ricky Morton down. And they just sitting there cutting up, man. I couldn't believe it. That was the
Especially
absolute.
Ricky Morton.
Yeah.
He was the one that was like selling. You know what I mean? Every match, damn near, he was the one that was selling. You know,
Who gonna get that? He gonna work and he gonna get the hot tab, but Ricky Morton that ass whoop.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was the one selling. Yeah, he was getting that ass whooped.
Yeah.
Like for real, you know.
What about the York Foundation when he turned on Robert? You remember that?
Yeah, we ready to rock and roll, man.
Been returning the phone calls. I'm ready to rock and roll. Robert, I've been waiting 10 years to do this.
Hey, man, that shit hit different now, though, don't it?
Man, that was some bullshit.
For obvious reasons, you know what I mean? That shit hit different now, though, right?
Yeah, but it's like, you know, yeah, that was crazy. They had Tommy Rich, Terry Taylor, Mr. Hughes, and then
Michael Wall Street. He was the first one, wasn't he? Michael Wall Street.
I want to say Terry Taylor was the first one.
Was it Terry Taylor?
Yeah, Terrence Taylor. And
Taylor
then
Made, wasn't he? Taylor Made, he was something.
Because Ricky Morton, Richard Morton, and Thomas Rich.
Yeah. The computer would tell you the blueprint.
You know, Tyreek, computer don't tell that wildfire what to do, man. I'll tell you one thing about wildfire, man. Hey, man.
Oh, man, this thing that ended up being Marlena. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a whole episode. That's crazy. How all that went down from Dustin to New Jack to and all the stuff they did in WWE. But yeah, Alexandra York and the York Foundation. Yeah, that was a main stable for a minute. Cause like I said, they had Mr. Hughes as the muscle. And then you had everybody, and everybody had their proper first name. Ricky Morton came down there in that suit. It's not in the contract. It's not in the contract. That was crazy. Hey, man, I tell you what, that was a fun little episode. You know what I'm saying? And I like when we do these sometimes when there's not no PLEs coming up, no, you know, nothing really. I ain't gonna say nothing major happened, but nothing breaking news wise that we just had to talk about, man. We got to talk a little sports and and just do a little reminiscing, man. You know what I'm saying? And I dig that. But let me tell you this, man, before we get up out of here. Go to ProWrestlingTees.com/welcome to wrestling, man. Get your t-shirt. Get this shirt. Buy this shirt. Go be great with the shirt on. Hey, brother, 77's in the books. And you know we'll be back next week. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Buy your shirt. Send us an email showing us you're wearing the shirt so we can put you on the show and show you some love because we appreciate you. You got anything left, brother? Anything to say?
Nah, man. Again, no, we talked about it earlier. I'm just curious to see next time we record if it's going to be new NBA champions at that point, or will the series still be going on? So
Absolutely.
we'll see with that. But like I said, my original prediction was Knicks in 6, so we'll see.
Right. Well, my prediction is welcome to wrestling, brother. We're out of here. We'll see you guys next week. It's welcome to wrestling.
Welcome to wrestling.
Welcome to wrestling, Chetty Bobby. Welcome to Wrasslin with Big E and the POT. Podcast tag champs of the whole world, slamming like a DDT. Got it like just like a figure four. Hulk Hogan, all they do is flex. Talking wrestling while they get the dough. Off the top like a superplex. Think they letting up? Hell no. Dusty Rose with the elbow. From the corner like a stinging splash straight to the face. I know you felt those. Hey, y'all crying out for help though. Rising up like a dead man. About to go upside your head like Stone Cold with the bedpan. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to wrestling's where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Bottom line, if you want the facts, welcome to wrestling's where you need to be. Chetty Bobby, this show improved like John Cena, you ain't seeing me. Yeah.